Once you're logged into your professor account, you can create your class by clicking Register New Class on the main menu. First, select your service level. This determines the cost of the course, the duration that your students are allowed to trade, and the total number of trades that they are allowed to make. You can also add a buy and hold portfolio to each of your student accounts for $6. Next, give your class a name. You can enter anything in here except spaces or special characters. Next, enter the number of students in your class. We use this for professors mostly who team students up with multiple students per team. This lets us know how many students are actually using the platform regardless of how many accounts are created. Next, choose your payment method. If you have it set to student payment, your students will input their credit card information or book code when they register. Instructor payment will generate an invoice that we send to your university based on the number of students in your class. Next, choose your registration start and end dates and your trading start and end dates. Your students can register any time between these dates, and trading will be open any time between these dates. Some professors prefer to have the registration end before the trading begins. Others like to have the registration open for the first few weeks of class in case there are late registrations or students forget to create their account. After the trading end date, we freeze all student portfolios along with all values. This means that your students can still log in and see anything that they were holding before the class ended, but they cannot place any new trades and no prices will update. Next, choose your academic level, a description for your class so your students can tell one class from another, the textbook you are using for this class. The textbook is important because many publishers include coupons for StockTrak in the textbook. If your students have one of these coupons, make sure you choose the correct book so your students can enter it and get credit. The day and time of class is for reference. Your students can see this when registering to make sure they're registering into the correct section of your class in case you have more than one. Next, we'll choose the class rules. First, pick your class portfolio currency, how much cash you want to give your students to start out with, and the minimum price for buying and shorting any security. If you want to disable shorting entirely, there's a separate option for that. Next, choose whether or not you want to have class rankings by the Sharpe ratio and alpha beta. If you include these, they will be in addition to the normal portfolio value ranking. You can also allow or disallow margin trading for your students. This will let them borrow money. If you set this to no, all they can do is buy stocks using their initial cash, and they will need to sell in order to get more buying power. You're also able to set up a pre-populated starting portfolio. For example, some professors like to build a benchmark portfolio and then have their students buy and sell from that to start with instead of just giving them cash to begin with. Next, you can choose whether or not you want to allow your students to short sell and day trade. You can also create an assignment. You can also create an assignment later if you don't want to create one now. So for now, we'll just say no. Fill orders on daily volume is a liquidity parameter. This means your students can only buy this percentage of the current day's volume of any given security in their portfolio. For example, if there is a stock with a volume of 10 and you have a 100% rule, your students can buy up to 10 shares of that stock. If you set it to 20, students can buy up to 20 shares of that stock. This is most important if you're allowing options trading, since many option-specific strike prices and expiration dates may have very little volume. Next, you can choose your commission structure and what securities you want to allow your students to trade. For equities, you can have commissions by per trade, per share or contract, or as a total of the percentage of the trade. Next, enter the amount and any position limit. The position limit will tell your students they can only have up to 25% of their portfolio in any one given stock. This can go up to 200%, which means if you allow margin trading, students can buy 100% of their initial cash and 100% of their margin on a single stock. Next, choose the exchanges you want to allow. By default, the US exchanges are selected, but you can include any of the over 30 countries that we have in addition. You can also select any other security types you would like to include, such as mutual funds, bonds, which includes both corporate and treasury bonds, options, futures, future options, and spots, which includes currencies and commodities. You can also set the commission structure independently for each security type, as well as a position limit. Next, click Create Class to have your class set up. This will give you a confirmation page, and you should receive an email with the same information. This includes a link to send your students. Clicking this link will take them to the registration page for your class, where they can create their login, as well as 2 demo accounts. These demo accounts act like students for your class, so you can use these to set up benchmarks for your students. You can choose to use or to ignore these accounts. And from here, your class is fully set up and your students are ready to log in and trade.